Good afternoon, my name is Juan Barraza. I'm the Director of Student Innovation at the Center for Entrepreneurship in Oregon State. And we are the managing partners of the Invent Oregon program. Invent Oregon is a protracted competition for Oregon College and University students from all disciplines, and it is made possible through the generous support of the Lemonson Foundation. Thank you. As the only invention during competition in the state, we award $80,000 in grants and prizes each year to student innovators and entrepreneurs who use technology to reinvent the future and solve today's most pressing problems. By partnering and collaborating with other Oregon colleges and universities, Invent Oregon bridges the gap between urban and rural by providing mentors, training, and prototyping funding to young inventors across the state. Collectively, we are seeding the next generation of Oregon entrepreneurs, equipping them with the skills they need to succeed in a rapidly changing world. Every day, on any Oregon campus, you can find students with an idea that has the potential to change the world. The student is trying to figure out how to build it, maybe how to take it to market, but the likelihood of success depends on factors they might not be thinking about. How to build a team, build a prototype, navigate the pathway to commercialization, and find access to resources. If the student is located in a metro area, their chances of success might be higher. They can find mentors with industry experience, maker spaces, and other innovators and startup founders. For students in rural areas, those opportunities are not as easy to come by. Inventor levels the field of opportunity for all students in rural or urban areas, rich or poor. We provide an innovation sandbox to any Oregon college student and invite them to take what they're learning in the classroom and apply it to real-world settings. With mentors and peers learning from each other across the state. As much as the students learn from us about invention and entrepreneurship, we find each year that we are also learning so much from them. Today, we invited two of our student teams to share their story with you and tell you more about Invent Oregon. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Hugh and this is Skylar, and we are the co-founders of a company called Next Garden.
So I'm sure some of you know, and more of you will come to find out, the essence of being an impact entrepreneur really lies in learning to solve problems. And one of the biggest types of problems that Hugh and I come across is when one problem starts to unravel into another and then another, and then instead of feeling like you're building this great company, you feel like you're kind of just plugging holes on a sinking ship. So we're here to share a story today about one of those times for us.
So Next Garden as a company builds and designs indoor vertical farms. In this past year, we've been building our first test farm. And this test farm, if you can imagine, is about the size of a semi-truck, and we're building it on top of a 30-foot trailer. And we're actually building this trailer at an old decommissioned shipyard in Southwest Portland. And we're actually building it inside of the shipbuilding warehouse there. So one of the first things that we had to do when we started building this was to install the floor panel on top of the trailer.
So this is our problem number one. If you guys can imagine, we have this 30-foot trailer bed right here. And then over on this end, we have a also 30-foot, 1,000-pound floor panel that is all one piece. And we need to lift the whole thing up, move it over on top of the trailer, and then place it down perfectly. This is the foundation of our farm, so it needs to be just right. And you know, it's a little tiny bit too heavy for Hugh and I to lift on our own, so we start doing some research and got some external opinions because we wanted to be safe, and we decided on renting this, and it's called a Gantry Crane. So if you don't know what that is, it's a crane that's got two legs, it comes up, and then there's a crossbar in the center, and two legs on the other side. The whole thing's on wheels, so you attach the cable to your material and lift it and move it for you. So we rented one, and we're getting it all set up, and we're feeling confident, like we can do this. And I noticed something isn't right. This is our problem number 2. So these cranes, they're mechanical, so you have to do a hand crank. And my expectation was that we'd have a crank on the side of the crane where we could reach it, but no. The crank was right in the center of the crossbar, so directly on top of the material that we were trying to lift. And we're like, okay, we can't reach that, we can't do this. We have to figure it out. Can we return this? No, definitely not. We already spent the rental money, not an option. Could we maybe like jerry rig it? Okay, let's like put a strap on it and stand off to the side, but that didn't seem safe. So what we decided upon, the only option was that someone was gonna have to stand right on top of the floor panel, hand crank it while we lifted it up into the air. Basically like a 30-foot surfboard.
And that person was me, so I step on to the surfboard and I start to crank myself up one notch at a time, and as each ratcheting click goes by, I come up another centimeter off the ground, and I feel the weight of this 1,000-pound panel under me, and it's pulling so much tension on the straps, and I hear cracking and creaking, and then once it finally lifts off the ground, the board starts swaying under me, and I am freaked out at this point. And then I look down at the mounting clip where all of these straps are mounted. So all of the hooks for each strap is all hooked onto this one piece. And I see one of the hooks is like right on the edge. It is so close to falling off. And then before I can react, this ratchet strap under the weight of all this weight goes flying off in between Skylar and I, goes shooting off, luckily misses both of us, and the entire panel comes crashing to the floor with me on it. Luckily, we were only a couple inches off the ground, but I jumped. But it was a crash. And
2,000 pounds, okay? It's still heavy.
And I jump off the panel. Luckily, everyone's okay. Everyone is safe. But that was super scary.
Yeah, so we regain our composure, like no broken toes or anything, and we got to get it done. So we reposition everything very, very carefully, and we saw the error of our ways. We're very meticulous about attaching it this time, and super slowly. Remember, this is every time you turn the crank, it lifts like a centimeter. So the 10 most tedious minutes of my life, finally, we get it up, it's 4 feet off the ground. He was able to jump off to the side, and we both got the whole thing. We rolled it into place, set it down on the trailer. It's done. We did it. So happy. Never want to do that again. Glad it's done. And I look over at Hugh and I'm like, okay, like maybe like let's go get a beer, let's celebrate. And he's just standing there, frozen, staring at the space above the trailer with this look of like total and complete terror on his face.
And that look of terror that she saw on my face was of the pit in my stomach when I had realized that we not only had to put up the 4 walls of this trailer, but also the ceiling panel. And this ceiling panel was not only 500 pounds heavier than the floor panel was, but we had to lift it off the ground 10 feet taller than that panel. So, at this point, we run into this huge new problem. We're exhausted from the day's work, we're mentally fatigued, but we have to figure this out now because we're supposed to be lifting this into place in just a couple of days. And so at this point, I start looking around the building. We think everything's lost right now. Like, what are we gonna do? And I finally come to this realization that we are in this shipbuilding warehouse. We are in a place where they used to build enormous ships, barges, 300-foot barges. And that means that individual tiny components that they were moving around were probably bigger than this panel. And so I have this one idea of something that could help us out in this situation, one instrument that I was hoping was here. So I look around, start looking up into the rafters, looking up and down this 300-foot bay, and finally I see exactly what it is that I needed. And what is it?
A full-size gantry crane.
A real gantry crane, one that not only can lift one of these ceiling panels into place, but one that could lift 20 of these ceiling panels into place with one lift. So at that point, really all of our problems have been solved, and all it took was in the next couple of days, I made a call to the owners of the facility. They had one of their employees come down, help us put the ceiling into place with just the touch of a button.
So, one of the biggest things that Hugh and I have learned over the course of starting Next Garden is really that sometimes when you think you have one problem figured out, that's really just the very beginning of the whole problem-solving process. And even though it can definitely knock you down and you just keep coming across one after another, you have to trust that you're usually exactly where you're supposed to be, and that, you know, if you keep your head up, sometimes literally, that you'll always find a way through. Thank you guys.
How are you doing today? Pretty looking nice that. So, I'm Blake Turner. I'm founder of Turner Automotive. But before I get into exactly what we do and the story that I want to share with you today, I think it's important that you kind of understand who I am, because everything that I've done for this company really sprouts out from the struggle and the need that I've seen in the world from my perspective. So tonight's all about, looking at the edge effect. But one of the first presenters really put it in a way that I resonated more with than the word edge is really margin. I think margin is a great way of really thinking about it, because you have so many different groups of people, and there's always the bits in between where a lot of us tend to fall. And so one of the margins that I fall into is a paycheck-to-paycheck family. My mom works as a retail clerk, my dad works in a warehouse, and our entire family has pretty much for my entire life lived paycheck to paycheck. And so this sort of mindset of, trying to make every dollar count is really where my company comes from and where our unique solution comes into play. So I come from a community college that very few people have heard of in Medford, Oregon, called Road Community College. Anyone familiar with Road Community College? That's pretty good. Most of the time people, be cross-eyed, don't know where Medford is. For those of you who don't know, I-5 right next to California. A lot of people haven't really heard of it just because, not a lot of really stuff comes out of Medford. It's not exactly an entrepreneurial mecca that Portland is really making itself to be. And so in this, sort of entrepreneurial dead zone, paycheck-to-paycheck family, one of the things as a young person that I find incredibly important is climate change. Everyone believes that they need to do something about climate change. And being a gearhead, being all about automotive, I decided I wanted to do something about sustainable transportation. Didn't know what. Went to community college. I wanted to be an automotive engineer. Wanted to do something sustainable. Didn't really know what. And so I'm in my chemistry class when we're learning about combustion and being a gearhead. I'm all about combustion engines. Those are great. Not great for the environment, but maybe there's something we can do. And we learned about the simplest form of combustion, which is hydrogen. And so I instantly think, oh, maybe you could burn hydrogen in an engine. And this is where my entire company that I'm working on was founded. It was just this idea of maybe we could burn hydrogen in an engine. Turns out, it's already been done. By Mazda, BMW, all these mega car companies. As Mazda did something in the 80s, BMW did something in the 2010s, or the early 2000s. So, all right, well, that's kind of, mission failed, right? These companies did it, they failed, what is me, just some random person out of Medford going to do about it? Well, I live from a paycheck-to-paycheck family. We have old cars that are 50 years old, we fix them ourselves, because it's a lot easier when your car breaks to buy a $20 brake kit than take it to the shop and pay, thousands of bucks for it. So that's the environment I'm from. And I started thinking, well, how can I make these cars sustainable? We drive these 50-year-old cars. They, because we keep them maintained, they get decent emissions, but they're still very polluting, all the carbon dioxide. It's not really great for the environment. And so I looked into a lot of different things. I looked into steam power, going all the way back, and I eventually, of course, settled on hydrogen. But the thing that I realized was that there are electric conversions. You can convert a car by ripping the engine out, putting in an electric motor and batteries. Costs $20,000. Probably drives 30 miles. Not very economical on a lot of different fronts, but based on this, I thought about what about if we converted a car for our hydrogen. So that's what my project was for Bend, Oregon 2018. We took my car, because I can't afford to buy another random car. I mean, I'm going to do an experiment on my car. And we converted my car to run on hydrogen. And that turned out to be the difference. Because I was focused on making something that would work for me, which initially was, paycheck to paycheck, classic car enthusiast that wants, to be environmentally sustainable. Not a very large market. But I made something that worked. You can convert a gas-powered car, run on hydrogen. Oh, this is a great idea. I converted my car, we made it running on hydrogen. About a week before the competition, transmission goes out. So now our prototype, that is this great, awesome hydrogen-powered car, has to be towed to the event. Which turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because when we got to the event, Juan, who came out here earlier, we gave him plenty of new bald spots, because we were telling him, okay, we want to bring our car inside the exhibition area and run it on hydrogen. Very safe. And shout out to Juan, he actually got it done, which was amazing. So we get there, and it's a good thing we trailered it, because there were stairs. So we get there, and we have to get our car up 5 or 6 steps, which, like you and from NextGuard was saying, you only have a couple inches, but when something weighs a few thousand pounds, it turns into quite the mission. So we turned our trailer into a makeshift ramp and pushed it up into the exhibition area, which is a fantastic metaphor for how this entire process has been. Normally I have a picture of it. It looks like an old-time Renaissance painting. It's pretty great. Have it on our website. You definitely check it out. So yeah, we get the car in there. We do a pretty terrible pitch. At the time I wasn't a very good public speaker. Whether I am now is up to you. And so, we go up there, we give kind of a bomb presentation. We tried all 4 of us, popcorn speech like in high school, and it went about as well as you expect. And through all this effort of towing my car halfway across the state to this competition that I didn't even know I would really be a part of, given that I lived in a paycheck-to-paycheck family, and we went home empty-handed. So, really great. Obviously, I'm not coming up here as, someone who went home empty-handed that a lot of people, oh, the guy's doing something with the car. I moved up here from Medford, Oregon 2 years ago, started going to Portland State. Juan reapproached me. He's like, Blake, you gave me a headache trying to get hydrogen everywhere. But, I like what you're doing. I like the ambition you have. Let's go ahead and bring it back. And so I came back. I participated in Clean Tech, where we started winning competitions for real this time. And we actually were able to form a business out of this crackpot idea that I had in the chemistry class, converting my own car to run on hydrogen. Now we have demonstrated it to dozens of events. We've actually raised money through this, and now we have actually started becoming a fully fledged company, and we're still working on our initial prototype. And through all this, through everything that we've done, through pushing the car upstairs into an exhibition hall, trying to track down hydrogen, sort of wheeling the hydrogen into a building, and then, not really asking questions up until that point. Just saying, hey, we got hydrogen here, it's all good, don't look that up, but, it's safe, trust us. So it's definitely, living on the edge of, being, a classic car enthusiast, paycheck, affordable conversions. It's a very niche edge market. That's the edge that we lived in. But when I look back, I realized we didn't just create something that serves classic car enthusiasts, or just serves, people who are a low income, but rather we created something that really anybody can use. How many people in here drive a gas-powered car? All right. How many of you wish that it was environmentally sustainable? See, exactly. You can buy our kit, which is something. Not a marketing ploy, I promise. But it is something that, before you couldn't really say. If you wanted an electric car, if you wanted to be sustainable, a lot of times you would have to buy 2 cars. You have your gas car, so you go on road trips. Maybe some of you aren't from around Portland, and you drove here because you can't afford a plane ticket. And so now you have an electric car and a gas car. That's not really feasible for a lot of people. If you've only got a garage or a parking space for 1 one vehicle or you can't afford the insurance, that two-car problem isn't really feasible. And sort of by happenstance, for me pursuing my own really niche edge goal, I created something that bridges that gap for thousands of people. And now we can sell you a hydrogen-powered car for 1/20th of the price of what's currently on the market, because we built something that was specifically aimed at low-income markets. And so at the beginning, I mentioned how BMW and Mazda developed the hydrogen engine and that I was very original. Well, the reason I'm up here is because we developed something that anybody can use. Massive car companies, they want to sell you a new car. We just want to sell you the car you already have.